Hi, everybody. This week, we move into the field of social psychology. I think this is one of the most interesting chapters that we get to cover in an intro psych course, and I think many students typically feel that way after they get through the material. Way back, looking at chapter 3, we spent a lot of time talking about how people perceive the world around them, right? We spent a lot of time looking at sensation and perception of the physical world around us. Here in the social psychology chapter, we're going to be examining how our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors are influenced by the social setting or the situation that we're in. Put differently, how does the social situation influence our psychological functioning? Okay, how do social interactions with others change the way we think, feel, and behave? This is an entire field of psychology. You could take a semester-long course in social psychology, and we're going to just kind of touch the surface here in this introductory course. In the next section of the reading, you'll learn more about what we know from social psychology in terms of how we perceive other people. So how do we form impressions of others? You may have heard that first impressions really count. They're really important. What do we know from the science of social psychology about how those impressions of others are formed? What about attributions? We know a lot from social psychology about how we try to explain the behavior of other people, as well as some of the mistaken assumptions and biases that we typically fall into when we're trying to make sense of another person's behavior. Okay, so the reading coming up is going to get into some of that. It'll also touch on attitudes. How do we form these value judgments about what we like and what we don't like, about people, objects, situations, etc.? Okay, what's involved in forming our attitudes? And towards the end of this section, you'll learn a little bit more about what we know in terms of how to persuade people. Okay, how can we get people to agree with what we're saying or go along with what we're thinking? What do we know about the science of persuasion? So this entire next section of reading is focusing on how we perceive others, okay, in a social setting in terms of forming impressions, making attributions about behavior, forming attitudes, and also trying to persuade others at certain times. Okay, so go ahead and make your way through the reading, and I've interspersed a couple of different video clips throughout explaining some concepts that come up.